I've spent months pretending this feeling was temporary, but watching you today made it clear. It was never leaving, only waiting. I told myself distance would dull this ache, yet seeing you smile today sharpened it into something I can no longer ignore. I survived months of silence with discipline and denial. But one look at you today unraveled every lie I told myself. I thought I had mastered restraint until you stood there today and reminded me how weak I become around truth. I kept this feeling locked away like a bad habit, but watching you today made it feel sacred instead of dangerous. I convinced myself I was healing, but seeing you today exposed how carefully I was just avoiding you. I believed time would erase you, yet today proved time was only teaching me how to miss you quietly. I've spent months pretending this longing was fading, but watching you today made it roar back to life. I trained myself not to think of you, but today my heart remembered faster than my mind could react. I thought I was strong for ignoring this feeling, but today showed me I was only afraid of it. I buried this desire under routine and logic, yet seeing you today dug it up effortlessly. I told myself it was over, but watching you today reminded me it was only unfinished. I spent months mastering silence, but one moment with you today shattered that discipline completely. I convinced myself this feeling was nostalgia until today proved it was still very much alive. I learned how to breathe without you, but today reminded me how shallow that breathing has been. I told myself I was protecting my peace, but today exposed how lonely that peace truly is. I ignored every sign, every dream, every memory, until watching you today made resistance pointless. I thought I had closure, but seeing you today reopened doors I swore were sealed. I spent months choosing logic over emotion, but today emotion won without even trying. I trained my heart not to react, yet today it reacted before I could stop it. I convinced myself I was indifferent, but watching you today proved I was just disciplined. I spent months pretending you were just a chapter, but today reminded me you were the whole story. I told myself wanting you was weakness, but today it felt like honesty. I learned how to smile without you, but today reminded me how fake that smile has been. I avoided places that reminded me of you, yet today you reminded me of yourself effortlessly. I convinced myself I had moved on, but today showed me I only moved around the pain. I spent months quieting this feeling, but seeing you today made silence impossible. I told myself I didn't need you, yet today proved how deeply I still want you. I mastered the art of distraction, but today you became my only focus again. I thought I was healed, but today revealed I was only numbed. I spent months telling myself it wasn't love, but today it felt undeniable. I convinced myself you forgot me, yet today I realized I never forgot you. I buried this longing under pride, but today pride stepped aside without a fight. I spent months learning control, but today you reminded me why I lost it in the first place. I told myself I was overreacting, but today felt too real to dismiss. I practiced indifference like a skill, but today made it useless. I convinced myself you were just a memory, but today you felt like a future again. I ignored this feeling because it scared me, but today proved it still owns me. I spent months convincing myself I didn't care, but today exposed how deeply I do. I thought seeing you again wouldn't matter, but today rewrote every assumption. I told myself I was stronger than this, but today showed me I was only resisting. I spent months protecting my heart, but today made me want to risk it again. I convinced myself the timing was wrong, but today made timing irrelevant. I tried to forget the way you make me feel, but today reminded me why I never could. I spent months surviving without you, but today made me crave living again. I told myself it was better this way, but today made better feel empty. I avoided thinking about you, yet today my thoughts ran straight to you. I convinced myself this feeling would pass, but today proved it was permanent. I spent months building walls, but today you walked through them effortlessly. I told myself I didn't need answers, but today made me crave a confession.